believe you and Allie broke up after high school.
Things change. Sometimes.
We are talking Cobra Kai Season 1. This is a 10-episode web series that you can watch right here on YouTube. Every episode is around sort of like 20 to 25 minutes. All available to watch right here on YouTube. And it's actually a sequel to the original two Karate Kid movies. I guess the Karate Kid, the next generation, whatever it was called as well. But it's not informed of the Jackie Chan one, because they actually mentioned Jackie Chan by name in this one, so that's obviously nothing to do with it. So it basically is a film that is, you know, obviously all these years later, with the original Karate Kid, obviously played by Ralph Macchio. Some years later, his kind of nemesis and antagonist Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka, who I actually know from The Equalizer mostly, to be honest with you. I was never a huge fan of the Karate Kid films when they were initially out. I saw the original two, but I never saw the next Karate Kid and the remake with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. But I was never a massive fan to begin with, to be honest with you. So I was a little bit kind of, I don't know if I can be bothered to watch this, to be quite honest, but I thought, well, it's on YouTube. It's only a sort of a 20 or so commitment to watch the first episode. But I've got to say, I actually kind of like this quite a lot. And it takes it from a little bit of a different way here. Now, obviously, with the name, you know, Cobra Kai, it actually focuses more on Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka, who was the antagonist on obviously the original movie, and it's kind of more his story, although it tends to kind of skew a little bit towards Daniel LaRusso towards the end. So you really get dual protagonists, well, obviously, that are actually antagonists to each other. And Daniel LaRusso, he's very successful now. You know, he's got his own car dealership. You know, he's got kids, very happy family, all of that. Doing well for himself financially. Johnny Lawrence, on the other hand, is a bit of a schlubby mess. But he ends up coming to the aid of a kid who is getting beaten up, and decides he's going to kind of reform Cobra Kai and try and kind of teach, obviously, new sets of kids this very aggressive form of karate, which of course and then ends up annoying Daniel LaRusso, who is very much more of the defensive style of karate, and then kind of the rivalry starts again. So that's pretty much all I would say on the plot for the most part. It really involves a lot of the students, the new students, and really very much a soapy series. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's lots of kind of like miscommunications. There's lots of typical kind of like drama that you'll see in kind of soap operas. You know, relations and kind of like weird different relationships that will affect the characters in different ways, and they kind of crisscross their paths quite a lot with different kind of miscommunications and misunderstandings. So it does get a little bit soapy, but I've got to say I really like the fact that this is kind of takes the viewpoint of the antagonist from the original movie and kind of certainly humanises him to a degree, but without kind of like betraying that kind of douchey, frat boy-y kind of like nature that he had, but it kind of almost still makes you have some kind of sympathy for the guy. There are obviously this big a karate-based show, some kind of fight scenes, although it's never really, you know, an action series, to be quite honest with you. The fight scenes are kind of few and far between, and mild spoiler here, if you're hoping to see a rematch between LaRusso and Lawrence, you may be disappointed. I feel this series is a little bit too concerned with setting up the next series, and you can guess where it's going to go. And I thought some of the kind of like I've got to say, I thought the last episode was a little disappointing. Because characters kind of, their personalities just seem to change on a whim, and I don't know, there's a few instances throughout the whole series, but I don't know, it just went into overdrive a little bit too much in the kind of last episode. But I've got to say, I really enjoyed the kind of the journey that it takes, especially with like Miguel, I think, who is the I guess the main student of Johnny Lawrence, and really the kind of the main character to a certain degree. But you know, like I've said, he maybe suffers from bad writing at the end. So it was an enjoyable series, I've got to say. I was kind of quite invested. I like the fact that we have two protagonists that are actually antagonists, that you really kind of you're kind of rooting for both of them to a certain degree. I think they maybe try and make LaRusso, he's certainly less interesting than the Johnny Lawrence character in this series, I've got to say, because he's kind of like, they try to make him this real nice guy and all of that, and he ultimately becomes a little boring because of it, and at the same time Johnny Lawrence's character, maybe a little bit too stupid, doesn't even know what Facebook is. I mean, come on, even if you're not on it, you would know what it is. He's not that old. So, you know, there are some silly moments here, but I've got to say, I like the story. I like the kind of the student characters and stuff like that. I thought they were all quite good. When we do see the fights, I thought they were very well executed and stuff like that, and the young cast do a great job of doing good acting as well as kind of like good action scenes. So overall, I actually got to say, I kind of quite enjoyed it, and I'd be, you know, intrigued to see where it, obviously watching the second series, although I can guess where it's going to go. It doesn't really kind of hide where it's going to a certain degree, but it's worth a watch. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 for this season. What do you think of it? Have you seen it? Leave me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.